In today's episode of Tool Demos, we're installing the powertrain back into the Toyota Corolla. I've got a transmission from that donor Toyota Matrix that we're going to hook to the original Corolla engine. We're going to put that all back into the car and see if it starts. So stick around, that is coming up next. So the first thing we're going to do is split this engine and transmission. This is a 2ZZ engine. The Corolla came with a 1ZZ, so we're going to use that one. I'm going to remove this clutch so I can get the engine stand bracket on. I'm just going to use the Toyota bolts to thread these adapters into the transmission because those are threaded, and we'll use a nut and a bolt on the bottom. I'm trying to get this center piece as close to the center of the engine, right at the crankshaft, as I can. If you give this a shot of grease, you'll thank yourself later. Without the grease, it's impossible to turn the engine once it's on the stand. That'll keep the engine from twisting. This handle's got to go in there. That'll keep this portion from sliding out of the engine stand, so that was my mistake. So this engine now is mounted to the Harbor Freight engine stand. This is their heavy duty model. They have a lighter duty model, and for Harbor Freight stuff, I usually get the biggest, heaviest one they have. It makes me feel more confident. So we'll get this pushed off to the corner. So now that we're ready to mate the two, we're going to watch for two things. The input shaft of the transmission needs to align with the clutch, and those splines need to go in together. If there's any problems there, just stop, don't force it. Also, on the bell housing, there's holes that line up with this pin and this one here. That way the transmission will be clocked properly to go onto the engine block. So let's get started. That's just finger tight there, and it'll hold these two together. One thing you should never do is use a bolt to draw the two together. That would just strip out your threads and you're going to have a really bad day. All right, that went pretty easy. Let's get this thing lifted up and put it over into the car. I'm using this load leveling bar, which will give me the ability to tilt the engine either way so I can get it shoehorned into the car. Because this hole is not as wide as the powertrain. We've got the back of the transmission angled down. That's going to go underneath that fender, and then we can get the entire powertrain kind of wedged in there. Just going to use this handle to turn the all thread that's inside the load leveler. And that'll move our lift point from here over to this side, and that'll get our engine and transmission to level itself out. All right, we've got the front engine mount and the rear transmission mount attached, so the engine's able to rock. That's a result of just having those two mounts. So we're gonna put in this one and the one way back there at the bulkhead, and this thing will be in. All right, the transmission mount near the bulkhead is in. So now I'm just gonna tighten up these exhaust bolts. And this is the third transmission mount. All right, let's get this engine harness down. Let that bungee loose. And this is just gonna fall about where it goes. You can see roughly where all these connectors are supposed to end up, because these wires kind of have a memory to them. I'm just routing the clutch slave cylinder line over the transmission. Number one, this transmission is about 1.5 inches longer than the original 5-speed. And number two, there's only one ground location at the top of it. There isn't one here on the left side. So I'm just gonna take both of these ground cables and share this stud here. And that'll be all right. Back here, that's my vacuum for the booster. 2 heater hoses, those are in. Gonna have to do this little guy. This is the one that got me last time. This is the pressure sensor for the power steering. Pressure switch. That's me 13. Oh, here's my 10 right on the end of the extension. All right, I've got the shift bushings here. Just gonna spray some of that, some silicone. That'll just get them easier to install inside these shift linkages. I should hopefully just be able to press these in with my thumb. Hopefully. Ah, there's one. And then here's the other one down here. A little more lube. I'll lube them both up. Stuff smells pretty good too. I like it better than, say, the WD-40 brand. This has a pleasant aroma. The last thing I want to do is break that. The other one went in. Why doesn't this one want to go in? Is it hard? Yes, the rubber is hard. And no, I don't want to buy another one. There we go. Just got to man up a little bit. Man, my thumbs are very happy that this is done. Let me check this one, make sure it went all the way through. Yep, it did. This one was no problem. The other one, not so much. All right, let me get these clips out of here. All right, I am standing on the core support, because why not? Now I can see the other clip. Here it is, right there. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, got that one. I just got to put the clips in over here. That's the clip. I'm gonna need a hammer for that. Some sort of pounding device. All right, there. There you go. Saves my thumb. Cool. Be able to shift the car now. All right, so I am going to replace the O-rings on this AC because they are pretty spanked. What do you think? Pretty close? So all of my PAG oil is inside my AC machine. I don't have an extra bottle laying around. I'm going to use silicone to lube up the O-rings. I know somebody's going to get mad at me for doing that, but this stuff is inert and it should be all right. If you want to go by the book, use PAG oil. All right, we're going to get these axles installed. This is the passenger side. Pull the knuckle back and get this side inside the hub. There you go. All right, we'll just thread on the nut. I'm going to stick that in the brake rotor to keep it from turning. And we've got it set for 159 foot-pounds. This part of the axle has a machine groove. We're going to stake that axle nut into that groove so the nut doesn't turn. And that's what it looks like. Here's the driver's side. And we can stake that in. Yes, I know this car came with the wrong size battery. We'll fix that later. I just want to see if this thing will start. Got the Toyota funnel that screws in from Motive X. Get some oil in there. All right, we've got enough oil for our first start. I want to start it and let it run for about 3 seconds and shut it back off. It doesn't have any coolant, no radiator in yet, and that's because if there's anything I need to fix, it's one less thing I have to deal with. So let's get that done, see if it starts, and then we'll move on to getting it finished. Sweet, it started. So we'll put some 75W90 in there. Take about 3 quarts. We're just going to fill it through that fill hole, and when it starts spilling out, that's when we know it's done. We've got a pretty steady drip coming out of it now. Put the cobras to work. Get those marks lined right back up, and we shouldn't have any leaks. For power steering fluid, we're using Dexron 3. This is ATF. We're going to use this vacuum filler to pull a vacuum on the cooling system, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then we'll go ahead and fill it. So you can see that we're right there at about 25 inches of vacuum. When you have that much vacuum in your system, the radiator hoses will collapse. That's normal. So we're going to keep an eye on this gauge for about a minute or so, make sure we're not losing any vacuum, and if not, we'll go ahead and fill it. All right, so that looks good. We're holding steady here. I'm confident that there aren't any leaks, so I'm going to go ahead and fill the system. We've got some fresh Toyota red antifreeze, 50/50, so we can come straight out of the bottle right into the cooling system. Just open up this valve. So this filler will stop as soon as the system is full, and that's it. You can just shut it off, drain the line right back into your bottle. We can cap this off, and then we can fill our overflow. Here we go. The most important part of any 5 to 6 speed swap, gear knob change. Oh yeah. Sweet. That looks sweet. Oh yeah. I'm pretty happy with that. We're gonna do a quick test drive in the shop to make sure it goes forward and reverse. And that's it. I'm glad you stuck around for the entire series. Thanks for watching.